The following broadcast is a Nighthawk Network presentation. Good evening, everyone. What's going on? It's your boy E Beezy, and you know what time this is. Once again, time for us to join you on this show we call Gametime Audible, where we talk all types of sports with you. You got me, myself, and of course the man with the master plan, that brother right there, the one with just a little tiny bit of gray going on, but with all the sports knowledge you need to get it in for the week. That dude we call Hugh Lee. What up, Hugh?
What's going on, E? How everything going, man?
Not bad on this end. What about yourself, bro?
Everything's been chill, man. Just relaxing and kind of peeping in on a few sports events and news going on. And other than that, man, just really happy to get y'all the show today.
All right, you look a little tired, man. We got to perk you up a little bit and go and get it in. So you got
Oh
the
no, I
flow.
was
What we
just
doing?
saying that. Oh,
What we doing, bruh?
I wanted to talk about baseball first. E, I don't know if you heard the news. It was actually something that I didn't expect to happen. But I figured something was going to happen. But the whole allegations with Trevor Bauer and how they were postponing everything with him, and they never really gave us no um, conclusion of what was going to happen with him. They just basically pushed him to the back burner, and he was an afterthought. But then when I think the MLB went through their investigation and they went through everything and they looked at the bigger picture, they said Trevor Bauer, man, we already gave him time off last season, damn near the whole season. But then they slapped on another 2 years, man. He banned for 2 years.
If he's banned for 2 years, he's done.
Yeah, pretty
He's
much.
done. That's a polite way of saying sit it down. Because by the time he come back to 2 years, either you putting him in the bullpen for a couple years to finish out the string, or you saying here's basic contract A, take it or leave it. Bottom line is, what team is that man currently employed for?
With the Los Angeles Dodgers.
They don't need him. They
No,
don't need
really.
him. He just an add-on. They got plenty going on. That is why they have the best record in the National League. They ain't pressed. They ain't pressed. We ain't pressed. They was pressed. They would have said more about it. He wouldn't have got 2 years. Because they're not pressed, it is what it is. Bottom line,
He,
that man had issues. We done known that for quite some time now. I'm ready to move on.
they said that they were going to, they think he was going to appeal, but I said, you can't appeal what they doing, buddy. If they gave that to you in the MLB, you're just going to have to take it in stride.
Bottom line, he got to try to appeal it. You know what I mean? That's his livelihood. We talking several
Yeah,
millions and millions of dollars. Of course, you're gonna try to appeal it. You want the money, but
yeah,
in
I
the
agree.
end, is he gonna get anywhere with it? Probably not.
Man,
Probably not. What else you got for me, man?
I want to talk about the games in the NBA, man. It's crazy how fast things is going too, man. Most of the series now are already around too. But the biggest surprise to me, and we're gonna actually go into this in more detail. We talked about it. The first game we saw, I was like, man, it's gonna be a really good series, man. This looked like an NBA Finals preview almost. And then after that game one with the Nets and the Celtics, you had the Celtics win again at home. The Celtics beat them in the third game, and over there in Brooklyn, and then they went for the sweep. Man, now with a team with aspirations, the biggest aspirations that they had, and everybody looked at them like they were championship or bust. we all know a lot of the issues that happen with this team, man. First off, Kyrie didn't want to get vaccinated and he played part time and you had injuries. But at the end of the day, I feel like with those guys too, with the whole debacle of them letting James Harden go over to the 76ers, which now he advanced to the second round. But when you look at it, all this stuff happened to where they were trying to get them a big three to the point to where James Harden wanted out and to the point to where they're in the situation they're in right now. Do you feel like they should blow that team up after all this, or do you think that they should give them one more go?
Well, understand, we got to talk that and simultaneously at the same time. What's going on, Pride? By the way, what up, though? We
Pete, what's
definitely got to
good?
talk about what happened on the other end. Remember, when the season first started, the two teams that were picked to be the most likely winners in the NBA Finals that was not named Phoenix or Milwaukee were the Los Angeles Lakers and the Brooklyn Nets. Both of them had issues. We already know what happened with LA. Clearly,
Yeah,
Westbrook was not the plan that was going to work. There's already talk that they are going to move on from Westbrook. According to recent reports, Westbrook has already emptied out any mention of the Lakers on his social media sites, which indicates to me that he knows he's about to be somewhere else. But going back to the whole Brooklyn situation, it was doomed from the start. First of all, you get a rookie head coach, and I understand Steve Nash is a bona fide Hall of Famer one day and all of that, but he was not the person that you needed to deal with all those different personalities. Steve Nash was not that as a player. He is not that as a coach. That's problem one. Problem two, you put Kyrie and KD, two of the most interesting and eccentric people in the NBA. Clearly, they have an understanding with each other, but does that understanding translate to the rest of the team? I don't think it did. Understand Harden and KD was cool, but Harden wasn't necessarily cool with what Kyrie had going on. That's why he put it out. He felt it wasn't fair that he had to come out every night and handle biz. Meanwhile, Kyrie had this night off, that night off, and everybody played it like, oh, precious Kyrie, you do you, man. You fighting the good fight. We don't want you to do all this and all that. No, 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 and no. Hold on. Thank you, Sensei. White privilege got Nash that job, indeed, and he had no idea what he was doing, and they clearly got out coached. I won't go as far as to say he had no idea what he was doing. What I'm saying is that was a bad fit coaching wise. Bottom line is, if you have a Steve Nash in a Sacramento or Indiana situation where they all is kind of growing together, that's one thing. I mean, I look at like the situation in Portland with Chauncey Billups. He did what he could do with what he had. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
He set up to fail over there, but yet and still they almost outside them last 3 weeks messed around and made the playoffs. Now, all that being said, we do know if all three of them had played, Harden and Kyrie and KD, bottom line is they probably would have got a little somewhere. They definitely wouldn't have been in the playing game. We know that. But part of the problem is one, they picked the perfect team to play. Bottom line, Boston had several big bodies to throw at KD. They had not enough defensive people to throw at Kyrie. And keep in mind another factor, as much as I hate to admit it, that comes to place. Keep in mind, we are in the month of Ramadan, and Kyrie is practicing Ramadan. That definitely came into play in some of those games where he seemed very tired. And,
Jalen Brown is too.
huh?
Jalen Brown is too.
You see what I'm saying? But that being said, clearly they dealt with it differently because Jalen Brown did not look as tired as Kyrie did.
And he's a kid compared to Kyrie.
But you also got to remember, Jalen Brown played all season, all 82
Yeah.
games and the playoff. Kyrie played how many games? Come on now.
Not even half the season, really.
Come on now. It was just a bad mixture of a lot of bad things. And then to further complicate matters, you add in Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons. Come on now. You got to give me a minute, Hugh. You know I got to dig in this. And since one of his favorite detractors is here, I got to let him get his say in also. So, yeah, pile on in, Pride. We know you got some stuff to say. Look, this dude right here is the epitome of not good thinking, okay? Not good thinking, all right? Bottom line is the thought process was okay, he just wants out of Philly. We bring him to a whole nother environment and we let him do him. He should be fine. They did not need Ben Simmons to score 20, 10, and 5 in Brooklyn. They primarily needed him to be what he does best, be a good ball distributor and a defender. And they couldn't even get him to do that. They couldn't even get him to do that. How do you, after months of inactivity, suddenly have this problem with your back to where you can't play? And then you get healed up well enough to say, okay, I could play. But then at the last minute, the 2 days before you're supposed to play, suddenly it's sore again. Now understand, it's a back issue. It's hard to gauge just how bad that is. We know that. Me and you both have had back issues in the past as people, so we know how they go. Don't nobody know how bad your pain is but you. But all that being said, you on the bench, getting your male model on, looking all spiffy, and now when push come to shove and they need you most, they need your support, you can't play. Not only can you not play, you can't even show up that night. He ain't even come to that last game, okay? It all got played all wrong by him. Understand, and I know Pride gonna have something to say about this too, but say what you will about Blake Griffin. He was there. That dude played his heart out them last 2 games. They put him in. Clearly, he has lost several steps, okay? Clearly, he was having an issue even the nights he played. You see, he was holding his shoulder and in back. It was like you put my old butt out there with all the fat jiggling and all and tried to play. But whatever he had in the tank, he put into the effort. The other problem is what happened to the rest of the bench in Brooklyn? While they was improving the starters, what did they do with the bench? Now, granted, Bruce Bowen ended up being a starter, so that was part of it. But yeah, remember that dude, Den Will? Remember that dude? That dude over there in Dallas?
Yes, sir.
Shouldn't have let him go. What you think?
Man, it's a lot of those guys that they shouldn't let go, man, to get some of the players that they had on the team. I feel
they
like
3-point specialists. Yeah, they replaced him with Steph's brother Seth. Maybe you should let him shoot a little more. What you think?
They didn't do a good job executing, period, man. And like
Bottom
Bob was
line,
saying,
it was a bad issue of issues. They got exactly what they deserve: a trip to Cancun. Deuces.
I was surprised too, out of nowhere, that Steve Nash just ended up being a coach. You know, like damn, like when we found out that Kyrie and KD was going to be on a team in Brooklyn, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, Nash the coach. It's like I'm pretty sure it's more guys who are more qualified than he was.
Ain't no
That's
doubt
what
about it. It was.
That's why I feel like the white privilege came in. But the crazy part is I have to give credit to say, dang, man, I didn't know this Boston's Celtics coach didn't really have an idea of what he was or what he was about. But to see how they played, man, you got to give them a lot of credit. I see what you're saying, P. I feel you. I won't hate on Griffin. They kind of did him wrong by creating a true role, by not creating a true role for him and giving him steady minutes.
Agreed.
He went out there and played hard, but clearly was not in good shape. He got wore out early.
All facts. All facts. I agree 100%, Pride. Everything you said. Not to mention, you had that other man on the bench, LaMarcus Aldridge. What happened to him?
Yeah, it was like they
What
wouldn't
the
even.
hell? Hold on. More importantly, you had somebody that was ideal for certain situations in that. That dude, Andre Drummond. Andre Drummond can score, you know. If you get him the ball in the post, he can give you a little something. While y'all was struggling to get the ball, why not slow it up? Go half court offense, put him in the post. Once they start figuring, oh, that's how they doing it, then they start releasing all these double teams on Kyrie and KD, and now you got something going. We're going to talk a little bit more about that when we talk about one of these other series. It's called making adjustments. Certain teams have made them, certain teams did not. Brooklyn made no real adjustments. That
Not
goes
at all.
on the coach. They did not show no real heart. That goes on the players. Because even KD, though he was kind of frustrated in that series, he still gave you 30 most nights. But his teammates, they let him down, especially
Yeah,
that.
they were definitely on the island. They were
And most
definitely on the
importantly, most
island.
definitely Ben. I would not even want to deal with Ben right now.
Yeah, man. And then you know what? I gave prior to the whole situation with Stephen A. Man, and I definitely couldn't disagree with Stephen A. because I feel like he looked at it and said he was the most selfish player in the league. Man, he was saying basically when he found out that Ben Simmons was supposed to play. He was like, give it a minute, give me a couple days, man. Let's really see what happened. Let's see if he's really gonna play. We even talked about it on the show briefly and thought that he was going to be in a situation where he played. When it
Remember,
came
and we
down
talked
to it,
about this, you. I read you the article where basically Ben Simmons all season, yeah, he wasn't playing for Philadelphia, but he was playing out in the outskirts. You could find him over there at Villanova playing with some of those kids. He was playing at Temple. He played at several local gyms. It wasn't like he ain't been playing at all. He ain't been doing no
right,
practice. But in the same token, I did not understand for the life of me how after being in Brooklyn for almost a month, he did not play at all.
it
At
didn't make no.
all. He didn't even go down to the G League and get it together. It made no sense to me.
It was funny to me too. I looked at it like, did
You
you
keep it
believe
coming,
that?
Pride.
And I believe that when he did all this, I think that it was funny too, man, because I've seen something in the past that was dug up right after that game. And I remember where he said that he got swept before and went to Philadelphia, and he never feel like that again. He never wanted to have that feeling again of being swept. And you turn around and when they lost those 3 games, and then when the pressure was on him to come back and perform in game 4 and to basically try to give them a boost and see what he could do to help that team out, that's when he like, nah, man, they down 3-0, man. I don't know if it's back. Hey, I can't disrespect the back issues because I have back issues, and I understand some days I feel good like nothing happened, and some days I feel like, oh man, I don't want to do anything but just lay down and not go nowhere. And
Exactly.
so it could change. But
Mm-hmm.
it was just so obvious. It was just a coincidence to me that after going down 3 games and you saying you were going to play, to just at the last minute say you're not going to play, and then eventually getting swept.
No heart. And bottom line, that young man I got on the screen, remember, next year is his last year before he becomes a free agent once again. I agree with what they said on the herd this afternoon. There's no way on earth I'm signing Kyrie Irving, that dude right there, to any multiple year term deal anywhere. He gonna get several 1 year deals with the option of the ownership to determine whether or not he should be renewed. Because that man is on some mess, okay? That dude is about self. And if he ain't about self, Ben most definitely is. And I would go as far to say, as far as the Lakers go, that dude Westbrook was about self. When you knew you wasn't playing well, you should have took the time to say, look, maybe I need a little time to get it together. Hell, maybe I need to go down to G League and figure out some stuff. I don't know. But bottom line is you making the money, you at home, you should want your hometown team to do better than what you're giving them. Same here. Kyrie, you went to Brooklyn because you wanted to be in Brooklyn. You didn't want to go to the Knicks. You know your boy KD wanted to go to the Knicks, but you convinced him to come with you. Thus, you are the de facto leader of that squad, though you should not be. KD should be the leader, but KD does not like to lead. He likes to be in leadership role, but he does not like to lead. And you have
Hey
led them
yo,
to a first round trip to the crib. It is on
E,
you. Hold
yeah,
on.
man. Seattle end up getting Ken Walker the third.
Okay, hold on. I honestly have his back, no pun intended, but wanting him to actually play in the playoffs, particularly game 4, was a punk butt move. I actually don't blame him for not playing in that game. 5-year max contract for Mr. Flat Earth, Smurf to the null. I agree. No way. I get that dude 2 years at the most. Okay, make that announcement again, Hugh.
Ken Walker the third just got drafted by the Seattle Seahawks.
Who is that dude, Hugh? Please
Man,
let people know.
I had no idea that he was still not drafted yet, but then I forgot they didn't draft any running backs. He was the best running back in college, period, last year, man.
Remember,
And
he was this close to making the New York trip for the Heisman Trophy.
yeah,
So
I
he was
definitely
that
thought
good.
that I think if they lost one less game, that was a possibility for them too, man. That guy was very explosive, big physical kid too, man. I think that he's going to fit well over there in Seattle because they got a good ground and pound game.
Why would they not fit well in Seattle? Remember, what offense does Seattle have right now outside of DJ Metcalf? Geno Smith? Remember all that they have traded. Okay, yeah, they got fun. They got fun at tight end. Bottom line is, this ain't about to be no air assault over there in Seattle.
Not at all.
The only way they're going to be able to compete with the teams in their division is to run the football. So, of course, it made sense for them to pick him. I ain't mad at them at all.
That was a really good pick too, because Carson's a great running back, but nowadays in the league, man, you need that two-headed monster to wear people
At
out.
least.
So yeah, I think that was really a good pickup, man. Definitely, they got a stud over there, man, and just a really good pickup in my eyes. There's some good guys that's gonna be out here on day two too as well. And if I see someone like how I noticed Ken Walker, if I see someone to go under the radar, man, on a good team that I feel like need to be announced, I'll definitely let you know.
I mean, bottom line, should they blow up Brooklyn? Yes. Will they blow up Brooklyn? Not really. Obviously, Kyrie wants to be with KD and vice versa. The only way we get anywhere is if KD wake up one day like, you know what? I'm the master. I am. Kyrie, you got to go. If that's the case, they will find some place to send Kyrie. There are several teams in the NBA where Kyrie could be useful, and they will be glad to pay him that money for the 1 year to figure out what he's going to do.
Yeah.
With that being said, them three playing together, I need somebody to sit down with Ben. And I ain't talking about just somebody in that organization. I'm talking about somebody in the NBA wide. I need one of the old heads to kick it with Ben. Instead of criticizing that dude like Barkley, stay on his back. I need somebody like a Dr. J or Michael Jordan or somebody like that to sit like, look, man, you got all the things that you need to be a great player in this league. What you lacking is the ability to want to be better and some of this. You need some more of this, bro. You 25 years old. You got time to get it all together.
We definitely got to give credit to
keep in mind, God rest his soul, Kobe Bryant believed in Ben Simmons. I most definitely think Kobe would have been in that dude's ear by now, like, look, Ben, what up, dog? Let me help you get your it together. Come hang out at my camps. Come work with me and my daughter. Let's get you together so next year you can handle your business. After all, look how well it's worked for Jason Tatum.
Yep. That's what I was just about to say. You have to give credit to the Boston Celtics. You just can't say how bad Brooklyn played. You got to understand and give props to their coach, the players over there, man.
For all the criticism I have for Brooklyn, that is all the props I want to give to Boston. We all said, okay, when Stevens bumped himself up to GM and they put in the new head coach, we was like, who is this dude?
Yeah.
Granted, we couldn't call white privilege on that. He a brother. But you know what? Yep. That brother know how to coach some defense. He made that very apparent in this series.
Because when you look at it too, man, it's like, damn, Jason Tatum, defense has already been decent, but he locked down KD on regular, man, when they needed it too. And then you got Marcus Smart, who's a decent defender. You know what, too, man? When they got Robert Williams back, man, that really gave them a boost, man, because he that presence in the middle. I just feel like, man, that whole team all together, they score collectively, but the defense, man, and then we all know in football, defense win championships, but it's starting to pan out in the NFL too, man, and the NBA is starting to translate there as well. Like, hey, defense win championships, man. They had put on a really good show. They had a great game plan and executed everything to the fullest, and that's why we see them moving on, man. And we're just gonna give a brief preview, man. Now they're going to be playing the Milwaukee Bucks.
We about to see
I think,
some real good playoff basketball. That's all need to be said about that. That might be the best series of any series going into the finals.
yeah, because Drew Holiday, man, that dude, he be on a whole new level, man, as far as a defender and the way he had to pick up his game after Chris Middleton being out. That's one of the biggest blows to every thing that's going on with, Milwaukee right now. But the Grayson Allen kid, man, he been balling out of control.
Man, can we give Grayson Allen a little credit? Remember, it was just a few years ago. He was over there at Duke, having all type of troubles, not dealing with stuff well. Everybody was saying, kid, you blowing it. You is never going to make the league acting the way you acting. You need to get your act together. He did that. He went to Milwaukee. He accepted his role on the bench pretty much as the 11th, 12th man. He worked hard to get where he was. And when Middleton went down, no problem. We're going to put Allen in. And you know what? He showed up and showed out. I was proud of that, brother.
Man, he gonna go somewhere where he get a decent paycheck too, man. If he doesn't stay on Milwaukee, man, because they got a lot of guys out there. That was his depth on the bench, in which came out to be a success story because nobody really think he was going to play as good as he has. So to have him on that team is a good accessory right now until they can't afford him. But for now, man, they might as well just enjoy the ride because when he was over there playing Chicago, man, he really stepped his game up and he was the reason. I can't say 100% him, but he was one of the main reasons why Chicago's home, man. And then you got to give the MVP running Giannis. You got to give him his props too, man. But yeah, it was a whole team effort, and I think that they showing their champion.
Giannis so good, he done got his brother a check. Come on now, because understand, when all is said and done, Giannis's older brother is good at one thing. He is by far the most highly motivated cheerleader on the bench of anybody I've seen in the NBA. That dude, if you pay close attention, he stands up the whole time the game is going. The whole time. He is not only cheering for his brother, he's cheering for everybody on that team. Like I said, he may not be the best NBA player, but he is a hell of a teammate. And then when you go back and look at the history of the game and how some players, they just kind of had to have that guy to help to keep them motivated. Like, you know how Dennis Rodman had your boy, Mr. Haley. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
You know how basically John Sally was one of those guys coming off the bench, stealing rings left and right. Every team that had a great player tend to have that one player too. That kind of keep everybody's head in the game. Keep everybody like, yeah, y'all can do this. All of that. But yeah, bottom line is I'm looking very much forward to that Milwaukee-Boston series. I think that boy going to go 6 or 7 for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a exciting series, man. And the only factor is I feel like if Marcus Smart on Grayson Allen, that's going to be an issue. But other than that, man, I think it's going to be a toe-to-toe. It's going to be a flat-out dogfight. And the East is to the point where we said surpassed the West, and it's more talented teams over there now. And that's what we're seeing. Not taking nothing from the West because it was some good games that was played over there as well. But
we got to talk about that. But I will say, because I do want to talk about Chicago very briefly. It's sad because remember, beginning of the year, we was looking like, yeah, look how good the Bulls doing. They doing real good. Remember that?
Oh, absolutely.
But then here we go, and we look up, and sure enough, your boy is hurt again. And then this dude is hurt again. And then Caruso is hurt. Basically, injuries kind of derailed their season. I think they probably would have got a little bit far, but then again, the matchup was not in their favor either.
No,
If
not at
they had
all. They
played
getting cleaned
another
up
team,
like that.
maybe they would have made out a little better than they did. If it had been like Toronto against Chicago, for instance, they might have made it to the second round.
Yeah, Pride, that was that motivation, man. They felt like the Bulls wasn't booing him enough, man, when they was playing him because he was torturing them so bad. And then that's when they went ahead and they started booing him to give him that motivation he needed to keep his game plan going.
I mean, bottom line with the Bulls, Pride, I think they go as far as Lonzo Ball goes. Bottom line is, I think we getting DeMar DeRozan, and I think we got another good 2 years of him doing what he did this year. But all that being said, if Lonzo Ball cannot get healthy and play a regular amount of games, then they only gonna go so far every year.
Yeah.
They basically 6, 7 seed at best, and it may get worse because, like I said, the East is getting better. We can definitely say that. But yeah, go ahead, Hugh.
Man, it was some good games over there distributed too on the West, and that's what I wanted to say, man.
Absolutely.
I can't definitely leave them an announcement because when you
Okay.
look at it too, when I see how well the Pelicans played without
Man,
Zion Williamson,
when I tell you
and
I have thoroughly enjoyed that series between them and Phoenix, both of those teams played their heart out, bruh. Every night. It was good NBA basketball. Some of the best playoff basketball I done seen in years.
you have rookies coming off the bench over there and just contributing, man. Big ups to Willie Green too, man, for
Absolutely.
being a good coach and being a good motivator that he is, man. Because a lot of them guys wanted to play, man, and they stepped up and they did the best job they possibly could do to put the winning pedigree out there on the court, man. When Willie Green tutelage, man, when you get men out there that want to play for you and go to battle, they would do anything they could to help out and to try to get you that win. And that's what I've seen there, man. Just really seen the whole different characteristics of that team. And either with or without Zion, man, I still feel like that team would excel. But I heard too today that he said that Zion, I'm speaking of, he was saying not only he wanted to stay, he wanted to sign a max deal to sign an extension with the team.
I mean, because he sees now that they actually got a direction going. Remember this
Yeah.
time last year, he wanted out because it looked like they didn't know what the hell they was doing. And then, of course, when they traded Lonzo and all that in the offseason, it was like, man, this shit ain't going to work. Get me up out of here. But I give credit to several factors. One, for CJ McCollum, because I don't think he really wanted to go to New Orleans at first. But he
No.
got into it and he became a leader on that squad. And he basically fit into his role very well there. Shout out to Ingram. You know, we all been dogging on Ingram since day one. He checked into the Laker lineup all skinny and frail, all getting pushed around. That dude been working on his game. That dude been working on his game. Outside of the Slim Reaper, I think he has the potential to be the most dangerous scorer in the NBA because he got it. He got the pull-up game, the mid-range, three-point game, fadeaway jump shot. He had some post move. He showed you a little bit of everything in that series. He
Yeah, he
played
did. He got all two.
Alvarado. Let's talk about that young point guard, undrafted, came out of nowhere and stepped up and said, Chris Paul, I fear you not. Let's go, bruh. Let's man up and do this. And of course, Herb Jones, your boy out of Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
I was so impressed with that guy. Bottom line is he should have got some Rookie of the Year voting. He definitely should have got some Defensive Player of the Year voting. That dude was outstanding on defense. You seen it?
Man, I was impressed, man. I was definitely excited to see the Pelicans play, and I'm looking forward to paying attention and seeing more games with the Pelicans, man.
Absolutely.
Because if that's what Willie bring it to the table, just imagine him getting a veteran here or there to put on that team and to actually drink the Kool-Aid and get a part of that pedigree, man.
Talking about light-skinned Pat Bev with talent. And you gonna quit hating on Pat Bev, Pride. Like I said, he's a bit of a-hole, but that dude got heart. Pat Bev got much heart. I'm sure you're gonna see some more of that tonight when they play. But
you can't
all
take
that being
said,
Alvarado, he said he patterned his game out of after Patrick Beverly. So it's Kind of interesting that you mentioned that. But when all is said and done, the Pelicans have a very bright future. Like you said, with or without Zion. I completely agree. And like I said, Willie Green, I need him to get his props. They gave him his props last night on TNT as they should have. But I need more people around the league to see that Willie got something going there. I mean, he didn't get the proper props when he was in the league. I always liked the heart that dude brought to the table, particularly when he
I
played
want
over in Philly.
I definitely do want to see that series too with Phoenix and Dallas, man, because that's going to be a great series too. You're going to see the veteran against the, one of the up and coming guys who it looked like it could be the passion of the torch, man. To see Luca versus Chris Paul, man, that's going to be exciting basketball and exciting TV as well. That I'm definitely looking forward to seeing too.
I think
And
that's going to be a good series, but not as good as the one we just saw. Bottom line is, I don't think Dallas got enough weapons to hold off Phoenix, to be honest. So as long as everybody stays healthy on the Phoenix side, I can see Phoenix beating them in 5.
hey, that's funny. I'm looking in on the draft too. I want to do an audible, just kind of laugh because I seen the Patriots is not too far away from the Houston Texans, man, and they end up picking John Mechie. That was definitely a Patriot style pick.
Okay, again, you have to explain who John Mitchell is to the people, man.
You know who I know who John Mechie is. I gotta let the world know he one of my Bama boys, man. I just felt like he's a great receiver, a good leader and all, but I just feel like he didn't have that moxie that Mr. Williams had. And that's the reason why I think he fell down a little bit further. No disrespect for him, though, but I still feel like he's a good asset. And I believe the Houston Texans, they doing something, man. They got something cooking over there. And I look at it, too, and I didn't think that they were going to be as good as they were last year. I was really surprised to see how good they played with as bad of a record as they had. But at the same time, with some of the new pieces and a lot of the guys they're trying to get via the trades too, yeah, man, they definitely trying to mold that team into something, man. I respect the team because they were respected a couple of years ago with Watson. But with Watson leaving, nobody really thought too much of him. But I still feel like a piece or two here or there and a good draft, which so far so good, is not too bad. I think that team will be on their way. So, yeah, man, Lovey Smith over there too, man. So, I felt like, and it was unfortunate, he got his coaching job more or less because I felt like it was a guilt trip or they felt kind of bad. And they said, let's kind of put the band-aid on a lot of the stuff that was going on. Definitely a lot of the allegations with Brian Flores, Steve Wilkes, and a lot of the stuff coming out, the truth and the skeletons coming out of the closet. But I definitely still want Lovey Smith to shine over there as well, man, in his first season back in the NFL.
Bottom line is, we definitely gonna get to more of that draft talk in a minute. There's definitely a connection between the
Sons of
Patriots.
five, math is two, depending on Luca, and not that deep. I
I
don't
agree
know.
with that. I mean, because remember, Luca's not 100%.
Yeah,
So there's that issue as well. He pretty much has not been 100% most of the year, in fact. So I definitely think that's going to play a factor because I definitely see defensively he's going to deal with a lot of Mikal Bridges. You're going to see him a lot on him. You also probably going to get a Booker on him from time to time. They got several people, Cameron Johnson, that they could throw on him that is close to that length to where it's going to be trouble for him to do what he need to do.
I think that they're not as deep as far as the bench play or all around, but I think they got a nice little roster over there. They got a couple of people over there, but I don't still feel like too. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to disagree, but I just don't feel like they got enough power over there, as far as going back to back or, trying to go blow for blow with the Phoenix Suns over there, man. Because definitely with a healthy Booker and Chris Paul and, Aiton and, Bridges and all those brothers, man, like they're not the number one team in the West for no reason. I definitely feel like Dallas should be just happy. I think it's a consolation prize for them that them being out of the first round because most times they'd be one and done. So this is a stepping stone for them, man. Or two, that'd be good. But you saying they're five, I wouldn't be surprised. But if they could take them at least to a six, then I feel like they can have something to hang their head on and for the future at least.
Bottom line, I'm giving them a game 3 in Dallas. I agree with Pride. I say Suns in 5. Luka gonna have to try to do too much of that himself. He ain't got enough help to beat what the Suns gonna throw him. And most importantly, who's gonna track Aiden in Dallas? Who's gonna track DeAndre Aiden in Dallas? They don't have a big man that can stop him. Nothing even close to it. That's why I say Suns in 5. Miss Pat is checking in the building. Thank you, Miss Pat. We see you. We see you. Good to have you here on the program as always. We finishing up our talk on the NBA playoffs. We're gonna take a commercial break after that, and then we're gonna get fully into this NFL draft. I know my partner's anxious to talk about that there. As you see, he already jumped in with a couple audibles, so we definitely want to get the full effect. Thumbs
I'm
down.
not interested this year, E. Honestly.
Well, we'll talk about it when we get there. But before we move on, we definitely got to talk about the other great series over there in the West. That one between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Memphis Grizzlies. What's your thoughts on that, Hugh?
That series is a pretty decent series, but it's been having a lot of disappointment. And I feel like just some bad decisions playing, man, and making over there. But I think it's because it's two young teams, but it is exciting to see them, especially when we seen game 1 and the way how things are starting to go around. And it's like a roller coaster series, but I definitely like it because there's some young guns in the West. It's improving, and just looking forward to seeing them both play and how they're going to react in the future. Because when you got Cat and Edwards, and then you got Ja and Jaren Jackson, man, it's going to be a pretty good time for the West, man. This is a good time for the West to build on the young talent. But yeah, right now I still feel like the East is kind of pulling away.
I mean, bottom line, I kind of disagree with you, Hugh. I think that was a good series. Not as good as New Orleans and Phoenix, obviously, but you got two teams. They seem to be relatively equally matched. You got some very good future perennial all stars in both of those squads. You got, of course, Cat, who has definitely showed improvement over the course of the year. You got Ja Morant, who basically is being argued as the most improved player. I couldn't disagree with that more because, of course, we're going to talk about that other series, and I will explain why. But in the same token, it's a good squad they formulating over there in Minnesota. And of course, they got their emotional leader. That dude we know is Pat Bev. He definitely has given them a spark in terms of having them believe that they could do it and they could make things happen in the playoffs. But also, you got to give it up to Ja. Ja is stepping into his own. Remember, there's a lot of people that were saying that, yeah, maybe he should be the number 1 pick and not Zion. Right now, based on performance, he is showing that, yeah, maybe it should have been me because he's taking over. Bottom line is there's other guards in the league that have played well, but then when it came time for the playoffs, they didn't quite show up the way they needed to, a la Miami and Atlanta, for instance. Bottom line is Trae Young can only do so much. Ja is showing that I got different levels to mine. It ain't gonna be that easy to get rid of me. So I am definitely looking forward to seeing the highlights of Game 6 once we get off of here to see what they got going. I would not be surprised if we get a Game 7 in that series. And basically, those are two teams on the come up. Like you said, the West is definitely rebuilding, but it's some new names coming in the fray now. And you definitely going to look out for Minnesota and Memphis in the years to come. Because that's both of them are relatively young squads. Not a lot of manageable contracts at this point on both of those squads. I definitely look forward to seeing what they bring to the table this next year or two. Of course, we got to also talk, Hugh, about the last playoff teams we didn't discuss on the West. That, of course, will be Utah and Golden State.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, your
What do
thoughts
you
on that, Hugh?
Brown being traded? I am so mad, and I also Jamar is also mad. Yeah, man. I definitely want to get into that a little bit. We'll definitely brush into that topic, but yeah, we want to finish like getting off a lot of the NBA talk, and then we definitely gonna focus fully on that because it was a lot of interesting trades and things that was going on in the NFL that I definitely want to discuss. That one being one of them, and it was something behind that reason why he got traded, and what's going on behind that trade too. That I want you to I'm going to discuss so y'all can see it was a lot of interesting reasons why he got traded, and I'll definitely get into that topic soon. T. Wolves coach looked like he has no control over the team, the bad basketball, and reliance and forced 3 pointers, terrible rebounding is shameful. They should have already won the series. I think that they are done tonight. Yeah, I was disappointed too. Just a lot of sloppy play, but then I look at it like they're both young teams and they're basically trying to develop. Man, I still feel like Cat has a little bit more experience than all these guys, but he's still really young and relatively new to the playoffs as well. But it was a lot of sloppy basketball on that end. And I definitely agree. Definitely hoping things get a little better. But at the same time, by them being so young, it's just exciting to see some of the teams from the West that we never really talk about before actually being in there and putting in the effort they have been, man. Definitely make it a little better for the future with them, man, because as these other teams like the Phoenixes who are getting older and getting up in age and the Golden States and those guys start to get older and rebuild, we're going to see those teams like the T Wolves, and we're going to see Memphis be like those cream of the crop teams who finally excel and start to be on top of the West.
I mean, bottom line is I kind of agree with you, Pride. Should definitely question the coaching over there in Minnesota. After all, truth be told, New Orleans Pelicans were an even younger team than the T Wolves when you talk about how many rookies they actually played and how many minutes they got. But yet they played a lot better. They played a lot more organized. They definitely had a set offense. It does not appear that the T Wolves do. Bottom line is, I don't understand why Cat is not in the post more. They seem to they should probably play more like how Philadelphia plays with Embiid, where sometimes you have him on the perimeter shooting his perimeter shots, but more times than not, you have him in the post where he could be dominant. It's not too many people with that skill set in the NBA these days. So Cat should definitely be doing more of that. It should be a lot less three-pointers being shot than they are doing because they are not a extremely good three-point shoot team over there in Minnesota. So I understand why you question that. But that being said, I would not be surprised at all if the Timberwolves actually did win tonight and we got a game set. But yeah, Hugh,
Yes,
you
sir.
with me? Not to be
Yep.
taking over the show, but I'm basically trying to get us all situated with the finals. I mean, with the playoffs. We do got that last series we got to talk about right briefly, if you don't mind, with the Utah and the
Yeah.
Phoenix. I mean, the
Yeah.
Utah and Golden State. My bad.
Go to
What was
State and
your thoughts on that
Denver.
one? Yeah, right.
Definitely felt
My
like
bad.
it was a great series because I felt like everybody overhyped the Joker. No disrespect to Joker and Denver, man, but I feel like he was overhyped. I still feel like, yeah, they were missing pieces in Jamal Murray and Michael Porter. And I feel like with them two guys being out, I definitely would have liked to see them play and contribute more because it would have made it a better series. But they looked at him like he could be a runner-up MVP, and I'm like, well, man, I like the fact that what Golden State did, man, when they get that the depth roster in and they put those dudes to play. And when you had Draymond on the Joker, man, he basically neutralized him, man. Got Joker frustrated, man. A few games he played and he stepped up big. The game they needed to win when they won at home, that he stepped up big and they barely won that game. But yeah, it was just a good effort on their part, but it was just too much of seeing Draymond play strong defense. And then you had Poole, you had Clay, and you had Steph, man, and he was coming off the bench as a six man, and still it was dangerous because you never knew which lineup would be in and who you had to play and who were you going to guard. I still feel like Golden State is one of the more dangerous teams, if not the most dangerous team. And no disrespect to Jalen and Mike Wilbon when they say Phoenix Suns is the best team in the West. I can't say that still, man, because yeah, maybe by record, but most times, man, record don't mean anything, man. You can have the best record and still lose. And I just still feel like Golden State was built for this, man, from the experience and the guys they had on the team and the veteran leadership. I still feel like that's the most dangerous team and the team to beat. And when they played Denver, man, they just made it look like it was nothing, man. I thought for sure that they were going to sweep Denver. And when Denver finally got that one game in, I said, okay, well, at least they did get a game, but I knew Golden State wasn't going to get them anything more than that. And the efforts they put in and just how excited they played, because when I looked up, they were getting beat by 12 in the third quarter. And then I turned that off for a second, looked back on my phone. Golden State was down by 2 in the fourth quarter, and then they end up turning around and winning the game. They always been a third quarter team, man, where they could execute and put out the game plan and then go into the fourth quarter and finish you off. So yeah, you definitely got to give props to them, man, and Steve Kerr. I still feel like now that's the one series I really want to see. I want to see the Golden State Warriors against the healthy Phoenix Suns team, because we've seen it earlier in the season, and it was some really exciting basketball, man, when they ended up beating the Phoenix Suns and end up taking the number one seed. But Golden State had a few injuries here or there, and they couldn't keep up because of a lot of the injuries they suffered. And now it seems like Phoenix is starting to suffer more injuries during the playoffs while Golden State's getting healthy. So yeah, that's the series that I'm looking forward to seeing more than anything in the West.
Okay, with that being said, I need Steve Kerr to get more credit. I understand people had a problem early on when Steve Kerr was just basically given the job. How they played Mark Jackson, which I'm still not too happy about. The fact that that
Yeah,
man still doesn't have an NBA coaching job. But
agree.
all that being said, give Steve Kerr some credit. He learned well from Pop. One of the things he definitely learned from Pop, obviously, is doing a good job with player development. That is why you see people like Jordan Poole, who should have been the most improved player in the league. I am so
Agree.
mad that the NBA cost me that $100. I could have won by FanDuel because of that. Definitely, you got to talk about the great strides they made with Gary Payton III and how well he's developed as a player. The Kaminga kid that comes off the bench, that dude is outstanding. It's only gonna get better. And then of course, I like Otto Porter coming off the bench as well. They got a lot of
Man,
weapons over there in Golden
I
State.
forgot about Otto Porter, man.
And keep in mind, you still got the old guy that's sitting over there in street clothes, but at some point they're gonna put him in and let him get it in because he is a playoff
Oh yeah,
killer.
Iguodala.
Yes, of course, the great Iguodala, the playoff nightmare. You know it.
Man, I
That
heard what
being
they
said,
called the
I'm definitely
band.
looking forward to seeing if we get that series as well between Golden State and Phoenix. Uh, Bottom line, Golden State gonna have trouble dealing with Aiton because they don't have no real big man. But in the same token, Phoenix gonna have trouble dealing with all those shooters for Golden State. So I definitely looking forward to see how that all plays out. And then of course you get Chris Paul and Steph Curry against one another. That's always gonna be a good matchup every time.
Always entertainment.
Yeah, that's like I said. I see Michael has that concern as well about Golden State, how they are too small, particularly when it comes to the big man. Let's go Suns. Okay, you see he's made his choice.
Not tonight, Mike.
But okay, that being said, like I said, I've enjoyed the playoffs so far. Obviously, Hugh has. Apparently, a lot of you have as well. Looking forward to seeing some good second round play. But we about to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we are going into the NFL draft. We're gonna talk about the first round, what's going on in the second round, some of our overall thoughts, and all that good stuff, and hear from you guys because it's y'all show too. You know what I'm saying? We love you for that. So we'll be back in a moment. Real quick before we move on, Hugh. Please allow me this. Free Brittany Griner. Free Brittany Griner. Okay. We making trades with the Russians to get some of our other people out. We can't make no trades to get Brittany out. Come on now. I'm just saying.
Oh, check that out. Did you hear that? Nah, I didn't know about that.
Mark Jackson has played a big role in him not being hired as he allows his strong religious beliefs and allegedly anti-homosexual feelings distance himself from many teams. No, I was not aware that all that was going on. That's interesting, Pride. That's
Yeah, because
information I was not privy to. I
they
mean, bottom
definitely
line,
went to
he's a
that
very good
man.
analyst, so I'm not mad at him doing that, but I still feel like it's a team that might be able to look past some of that and move forward with him as a coach. But yeah, go ahead, Hugh. What you saying?
Oh man, yeah, I definitely wasn't aware of that myself, man. That definitely kind of came off as a shocker. But yeah,
All
man,
right.
there's no accident though that they, after all this time, that they didn't hire him neither as a coach, man. So yeah, that definitely, and that means something for him not to. They're just not going to have a man with that type of talent not be a coach. So yeah, that definitely makes a lot more sense. When I said that.
Indeed. Okay, like I said, we're going to commercial. We'll be back. Game Time Audible. Me, the sports guru, Hugh Lee. Don't go nowhere, y'all. We coming right back.
Hello, hello, hello. It's another glorious day, my T-Steppers. You know what time it is. I hope you have all of your comfort together because it's time to dish tea. And you're dishing tea, darlings. With Big Meat.
Can't wait. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat.
Darling.
Nikki.
Let's talk. Let's
Nikki.
let's talk.
Let's talk.
Let's talk.
Nikki. Nikki.
Night Network presents Pastor Sean Love. Pastor Sean Love, devoted father and husband, a residing pastor at the River Rouge Bible Assembly in River Rouge, Michigan. Join him as he gives us messages from God's Word, Bible study, and encouragement. You can find him on YouTube under Sean Love.
Behind the Blue Curtain, Saturdays at 11 a.m. Eastern.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Have you been scrolling Facebook and looking for that quick sports fix? Want a quick peek of what's going on in the latest sports news? Check out Pure to the Game Sports Blog with the sports guru, Hugh D. Lee. He'll get you together. Check it out. Follow it on Facebook. Make sure you like it. The views and or opinions expressed here on Game Time Audible is that of the host and or guests, and does not necessarily reflect those of the Nighthawk Network or its affiliates. Viewer and listening discretion is advised. Hey, what's going on? We are back. This is Game Time Audible. I am your boy E-Buck, and of course, that is the man, the sports guru Hugh Lee right there. Before we move on to talk NFL draft, this last comment from Mr. Pride Hunter. He says, y'all remember when they used to talk about the strong relationship he had with the Splash Brothers and about them being married and God fearing and great guys. Back then, he was doing a lot of public speaking regarding his religious beliefs out in public and drawing unwanted attention. I think he may have toned it down since then. Google it, bro. Definitely will look into that prior. Like I said, I was not aware that any of that was a factor. Nobody has discussed that in any of the talking heads or anything of that nature. So I've not heard of such a thing. But I would definitely check into it. In the meanwhile, we are here. We are ready to talk NFL for those of y'all in the room that was waiting for that. That time has come. I give you Hugh. What you got on it, Hugh?
Man, I was actually I was like, I don't know, I'm a little neutral right now, man, on what was going on with the draft. I see some good trades and good picks and things that was going on, but it wasn't really to the point where I was like, oh my God, and I'm just really amped up like I was like maybe 2 to 3 years ago with some of the drafts we had with strong NFL quarterbacks, offensive tackles, wide receivers, and just all the from the offense and the defense perspective. This year, it wasn't as heavy. Um, Speaking of, if I'm not mistaken, it was only still just one quarterback drafted. The other guys are still waiting right now, and it's still going on in the second round. Hell, it might be the third round before I see one be drafted. But didn't really think that this was a really quarterback heavy draft. But it was some really good things that did happen, and the one thing I definitely did like was two of the huge trades that went on last night, and I'm glad that one of the people on Facebook, I'm not sure who it was, the one who said it was a lot of great trades. I know one of my favorite trades was what happened was with Marquise Brown going to the Arizona Cardinals. And the reason being, because if people don't remember this, they played with each other, Kyler Murray and Hollywood Brown, Marquise Brown, that is, and he tried to keep it a secret. He knew he was going to get traded. He wanted to be traded. They wanted to try to keep it low key with him and the Baltimore Ravens organization, and they wanted to give him the best fit possible. But at the same time, they wanted to get some draft capital as well. So him keeping his mouth shut and him and Kyler Murray was training, and he wanted to know, and he kind of like, damn, you've been training with me a lot, man. Why you ain't training with your team? And he was like, man, they gave me the freedom to train. They know I'm going to be disciplined and take care of myself. So, yeah, I'm here, I am. And he was basically telling them, like, man, it's something that you don't know that you'll find out real soon. And Kyler was trying to find out. He was like, you'll see, and he couldn't really tell him much because he didn't know when it was going to happen. And it was pretty cool just to find out right before the time, before the picks and everything was in. He got all the physicals and everything that he needed, and he was there at the draft party. So now he's over back with his good buddy from college because he wasn't really too happy with what was going on with the Buffalo Ravens. No disrespect and not trying to take anything away from, Lamar Jackson, but he wanted to not just do the run and gun offense or to the point where they had more like a spread offense with running with Lamar Jackson. He wanted to actually focus more on the passing game. And that's why he went over there to Arizona with his buddy too. And I think at the same time that'll keep Kyler Murray happy because he haven't got this contract yet that he want. And man, when you're playing well in the NFL, most of those guys feel like they deserve them contracts, man. Speaking of, that's what I believe what happened with AJ Brown too, man. He wasn't really that vocal like a lot of other guys, though. I think he's been real professional and low key about his, and he ain't really say much. And to trade him, I was actually surprised that the Tennessee Titans did that because that was one of their main weapons that they had. But when you got Derrick Henry too, man, he's basically one of the main pieces of their offense. And so when you got a 34-year-old quarterback who hasn't really been doing much and been lackluster, it's kind of good for him right now to try to go somewhere where he can seek more help and he can play with a team where he can go out and be the number one guy, which he was one of the good passing guys over there, man. And they definitely had him as one of their deep threats. But to put him with Jalen Hurts now, man, just think about it now, man. You got Jalen Hurts, you got Dallas Goddard, and now you have Devontae Smith, and now you got AJ Brown. Man, that's gonna be pretty good, man. That just made the Eagles be like a one and done in the playoffs, man, to actually going blow to blow with some of these guys, man, and going deep into the playoffs. Because when they played last year, when they played Tampa Bay, when we looked at the game, we was like, man, that run game could get them fits. But now you got a big body wide receiver like an AJ Brown. If you had to play them now, and then you turn around and then you got Devontae Smith on the opposite side of the ball and Dallas Goddard and a good run game, man, I definitely feel like that's going to be some exciting football to watch. But at the same time, this is only saying on paper because we don't know how it's going to pan out yet. But that was a huge deal. And not only was he able to go over there for Philadelphia, man, like he did, but him being quiet and not really being disgruntled, a la Debo Samuel, he ended up getting a 4-year, $100 million deal, $57 million guaranteed. So, yeah, that all panned out for him.
Okay, you done put me to work here, Hugh. You done mentioned like 5 teams in this last 3 minutes, so I got to kind of skip around here like you did. All right, first of all, in terms of AJ Brown and working with Kyler Murray, definitely a good pickup for Arizona. They have had some issues that they talked about starting at the beginning of the offseason. I'm still curious to see how that works out. This is definitely going to be a critical year for both Kyler Murray, seeing he's going to come up on his contract year. Also for the head coach over there, Mr. Kingsbury, because we want to see if this gimmicky offense that he has is something that they could do long term, or basically he had a shot at it and it didn't work and they move on. There's that. Of course, we know Baltimore, they had bad fortune throughout that season. Remember, before they could even start game 1, basically their whole game plan got through into the Wolves when they had those ACL injuries to the running backs. Remember, Baltimore these last few years have primarily been a run team where they threw on occasion, basically on third down. So when you took away the running game, that forced them to change up the whole scenario. They'll probably be back closer to what they planned on doing this year. So losing somebody like Hollywood Brown is a loss, true enough, but I think they'll probably make up for it by getting a couple of these tight ends. I mean, a couple of these wide receivers here in the draft, because this wide receiver class is kind of heavy in this year's draft. What other team did we go with? Tennessee. Basically, Tennessee goes where Henry goes. If we get Henry for a full season, healthy, running folks over 2,000 yards and the like, Tennessee going to be right up there with everybody else, even though we know the AFC West is going to be a hell of a thing to overcome over there on that side. And, of course, Debo Samuel, the talking head, has been talking about him for the last couple of weeks. Still waiting to see if any type of trade involving him is going to pop off in his next couple of rounds. Basically, if it ain't happened by the 4th round, I don't think we're going to be seeing that. I think basically Debo going to have the option to either ride it out over there or basically wait till around trade deadline to see what he can get done. But bottom line, he is stuck in San Fran for the foreseeable future, and he is not going to get the money that everybody else is cashing out on right now. He just going to do his job, suck it up, and deal with it. Another rumor I've been hearing is that there's talk of them possibly trading Saquon Barkley over there with the Giants. At this point, I feel like the Giants don't have nothing to lose. They pretty much are in full rebuild mode, much like we are here. So if they make that move, I ain't mad at it, especially if you can get something of value for Saquon. Otherwise, you basically wait for his contract to come up, and he going elsewhere anyway. So you need to do something. All that being said, going back to your original point, I have not been looking forward to this draft. I'm glad that it's going on now so they can stop talking about it. As I said, this is a developmental draft where a lot of them are being picked. How well they do overall depends on where they are going and what type of system that team has and how well they fit into it. That being said, there were a few picks that I wanted to get your opinion on him.
Okay.
And let me go ahead and throw them up there. You let me know. All right here we got, of course, the first pick we all know was Walker for Jacksonville, and then those are the next 10 picks. Any of those first 10 picks stick out in your mind there, Hugh?
The one I like was the New York Jets, man, because they've been like the laughing stock for so many years, and I feel like that team is starting to get really stacked over there, man. For them to get some of the picks that they got, speaking of too, they end up getting Ahmad Sauce Gardner. He was, to me, the best cornerback in the draft. That's why I was surprised Stingley got drafted before him. Not taking anything from Stingley, because he is a great cornerback, but didn't think that he was Sauce Gardner great. But yeah, just for them to get him, man, that was huge, man. And we love that not only just as draft fans, but people of Detroit, period, because that's one of the kids that came out of King High School, man. So we definitely like him, man. And a lot of the people I know, one of my boys, Tez Walker, man, I want to mention him too because he coached that kid. And to see a lot of those talented kids come from Detroit, man, this is really huge. And that was a good day for him and a good day for the Jets because they really need a solid cornerback over there. That was one of the picks that caught my attention.
Here's my thing. I have a very hard time with any team picking a cornerback in the top 10. Understand, I grew up in the era where I watched the great Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders, who very well could have been the number one pick in that particular draft the year he was drafted. He basically revolutionized how cornerback was played to the point to where when he was on the field, more than likely you wasn't throwing to that side of the field. That's the type of person I'm looking for in the top 5 if I'm drafting a cornerback. Now, these last few years it's happened. These cornerbacks have been drafted top 5, top 10. What have we gotten? We got Jeff Okudah. And we all know how I feel about Jeff Okudah for the Lions. I feel like that was a very bad pick on their part to pick him that high up. He has done nothing but get burnt like toaster strudel, as I call him. I don't see that happening with Sauce Gardner, mind you, but I still don't think you're going to get your value at the number 4 pick for the Jets with him. He is a good cornerback. A very good cornerback. He is not a top 10 cornerback. Stingley, I wasn't overly impressed with him either, to be quite honest, where I would pick him in the top 10. 10 on down, I'm fine with it. Of course, second round, all that's fine, but no. When I look at some of these draft picks in that top 10, and that's what I'm looking at, I'm saying no. Basically, I'm thinking the usual thing that we do most years. Most of those top 10 picks are usually quarterback, wide receiver, offensive lineman, defensive end, your occasional linebacker. That's what most teams I would think would be looking for. But if you're taking these guys at cornerback and they your first pick and they only do so much, you're going to have some explaining to do. Bottom line is I need them to have the type of effect on the field that Micah Parsons had last year for the Dallas Cowboys. If you're not getting that type of production out of them as a number 3 or number 4 pick, I don't think you picked wisely.
I think you're going to get that production out of Sauce definitely this year because of the fact is I think he's one of the better players in the draft this year, even though I think this draft wasn't as, emphasized as other ones. This was more of a lackluster one. I'm hoping so for his sake, but I definitely feel like he's going to perform good, though. They had a lot of good talent on that Jets team, man. The Jets is like they playing with gasoline right now because I've seen a lot of the players they pick up. But then, at the same time, don't get me wrong, and we'd have seen the Jets go crazy when Tom Brady was over there playing with, the New England Patriots when they got Mosley and they got a lot more talented guys to put on that team around that roster and surrounding them to go after, the number 1 team in the AFC East, and it didn't pan out so much. So, yeah, man, but Robert Slayer, let's just see what happened, man, and hopefully that does pan out because I feel like this draft so far on paper looks good. But let's just see where it goes in the regular season. And the regular season is a long ways away. So yeah, I just want to see where that takes them because right now I don't think we had a shabby draft as well, because I did like the Aiden Hutchinson. A lot of people frowned on Jamison Williams, and I laughed because I've said most of the people in Detroit feel like they're sports analysts. They feel like they're scouts and all. They'll
And
never
they
be
don't know what the hell they
surprised.
talking about.
They'll never be surprised.
Detroit
Happy
Lions, considering their organization and what they have done in the past, these are two excellent picks by them.
And then they had a third, man. They end up getting the guy, the running back, the defensive end from Kentucky. And I looked and I was like, well, so far so good. I like what they're doing because I feel like they're doing better as far as the picks, and they're being smart about their picks because remember they lost on Trey Flowers, which it wasn't really too big of a loss to me because he didn't
Ah,
execute or do anything over here.
ah,
Get the end from over there, and he's a big body physical guy, man. The Kentucky kid. I got to find his name, and then you
Josh
got
Paschal is his name. He is
yeah,
6'3",
Pascal.
268. That's a
Yeah,
good size. I like that. Like I said, we know going into this draft, the key should be us getting some defenders and a couple receivers. So far, so good. We have done what we set out to do. Uh, I think they paid a little too much to get that pick last night in the first round. The one they
which
used to
one?
get
Jameson?
when they gave up so many picks. But
I
that
was
being
surprised they
said,
did that too. I agree. They definitely went up a lot.
I think they're thinking in terms of the fact that they'll be better this year, but they still will have some relatively high picks the following year. Of course, knowing that we still have the Rams' first round pick for next year as well to work with. So there's that. Um, Ideally, I need for the Lions to basically double up on last year's win total from what they've shown me so far in terms of free agency and now the draft. I think they're on their way of doing that. I definitely am not surprised they pick Hutchinson. It makes perfect sense. We know what type of coach we got. He likes those people with that motor, with that drive, with that wanting to. Hutchinson fits all those boxes. Also, of course, he's a Michigan kid that grew up over there in Plymouth, Michigan, right down the street from where we stay at. So he will have a lot of butts in the seats. You know, the Fords, they want to build a winner, but more importantly, they just want to build a competitive team that's going to fill up Ford Field. So that checks those boxes as well. And of course, Williams, for all we know, truthfully may be the best wide receiver in this class.
Yeah,
Remember,
because
not for his injury, they may have won that national championship game against Georgia. So
we
there's
laughed
that.
because we said hell if he was healthy, shit, it'd have definitely been a top 5 pick.
Right. I mean, bottom line, we needed a number one receiver. We get Chart to play up to his potential, and Williams come along sometime in late October, early November, and show signs. And then, of course, we get St. Brown to kind of up his game, get Reynolds to play a little better. We definitely should be looking at a better overall team. But remember, the reason why we lost many of those games last year in Detroit was because the defense could not finish up. We were competitive in a lot of those games, but it was our defense that failed us more times than not. So if we are getting some good quality defenders in this draft, the Lions have done a good job with it. All right. Checking in, brother. Love you. Thank you, Aunt Nick, for checking in on us. We appreciate you. Love you too, boo.
Yeah, man. I still feel like it's a little bit more talent in the second and third round to stir up and put in a pot on some of these teams too. And the funny thing is, we all seen this and we all know that this happened too. And most times people say that the actual draft and championships are not won in the first, second, and third round. It's that last day of the draft, man, where you got them fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh round picks when you start integrating them and putting them in the team and getting them and stirring them in that pot of stew, man, or the gumbo, and you get those people who you get out of nowhere, some of those guys that come out the seventh round in an undrafted talent, so you put them in the mix, man, and that helps build teams, man.
I mean, bottom line, it's all about player development. Some teams are very good at it, like for example, the Patriots, definitely the Steelers. I would definitely say is a good player development team as well. The Chargers seem to have been doing a pretty good job of that last couple seasons. So if you get people that's going to fit the model of what you're working with, you should do well. Understand the Lions, I think, did a very good job last year with player development. Considering what they had to work with, they basically took the best that they could and made at least some type of lemonade out the deal. So now that we get some better quality players to work with, I'm looking to see them continue to do a good job of player development. And part of that starts with who you draft and how they fit your system. I definitely say the best pick that I saw outside of the top 10 yesterday was when Pittsburgh picked Kenny Pickett at number 20. Understand that he played at the University of Pittsburgh, and clearly it meant a lot to that young man to be picked by that organization. I have nothing but respect for the Steelers organization. I feel like it is one of the best run organizations in professional sports, period. Not just in the NFL, in terms of their diversity, in terms of their commitment to that town in Pittsburgh, to them having one of the better owners in the league that is definitely for all players, not just players that look like him. So the fact that he is going to that organization where basically you need to plug and play because you got a good defense in Pittsburgh. You got receivers that you can play. You got a decent running game. All they need is a good quarterback that's going to help lead that. Now, of course, everybody talks about the hands with Pickett and how his thumb don't grab the ball and all that. Throw all that out the window. They said all that about Kyler Murray, too. Last time I checked, he turned out all right.
And they got another wide receiver on the side of Chase Claypool too, man. They just drafted at number 52, the 6'3", 195-pound wide receiver from Georgia, George Pickens.
You're not familiar with George Pickens?
Not absolutely. No, I can't say I am.
As much as SEC football you watch, you're not familiar with George Pickens?
And I really
they say he was one of the best receivers coming out, period. He is basically tall. He is outside receiver, good speed, definitely catches the ball well. That's another great pick by Pittsburgh, you ask me. But I must admit, so far, we got to talk about the surprise of the draft. At least it is to me. As Trey McBride just got picked by Colorado State. There's an interesting story behind Trey McBride, by the way. I'm not going to broadcast that here because I don't think it's something that they should have spotlighted as much as they had. Y'all just do your research on Trey McBride and you'll figure that one out. Anyway, amazingly enough, we are almost at the end of the second round and still no Malik Willis. Remember, at some point, somebody was saying he might go as high as number 2 to the Lions. Why do you think nobody has ventured out to pick that young man at this point?
I think because a lot of those guys wasn't really developed yet, man. A lot of these quarterbacks in this draft was raw. And Kenny Pickett, they said, was the most NFL ready, and that showed because he was picked up in that first round, and he was the only one picked up in the first round. I don't think a lot of them were really as far as playing all the years and, football, and that started to become a concern a la Carson Wentz and guys who only played like 1 year. And what I was disappointed with, people were saying, oh, Mac Jones only was 1 year as a starter, as a senior. I said, but look what organization he came from, man. They have you pro ready versus a team like when Carson Wentz came out. It was more of a MAC team. It's totally different from the MAC and the SEC, So I told people, don't get that part twisted. I just don't feel like a lot of them guys, by them being raw, I believe they want them to probably go in maybe the second, third. You might even catch a couple of them in the fourth round, man, to sit down behind veterans and to basically learn and develop their game and like get a little practice reps or whatnot. But I just don't think a lot of them was ready. And when you're that raw, like some of those guys were, I think it's best to, not try to go all out in the first round because, we've seen what happened to the Baker Mayfields and, like the Carson Wentz, for example. Now you start to look at your Daniel Jones. People think that they drafted him a little too high, and those guys are not panning out, man. So, yeah, man, I just feel like that's the best thing you should do right now. If you do get a quarterback, get him in like the second, third, maybe fourth round so you can sit him down, get a little bit of that veteran tutelage and, plug and play, get them to the point to where when they're ready that you can actually move on from the veteran and use the, rookie, as far as not trying to compare any of them to him, but we've seen what happened when, Patrick Mahomes sat out, when he sat out and Alex Smith was playing, then once he finally got his chance to start, and they seen how after all that time his player development and how good he was, and how that dude didn't even break a sweat when he came in and started some of those last few games, they knew that he was ready. I just feel like that's what they should do. I think that's a little bit more of a concern in the NFL now because they want to put some of these rookies in too fast. And just like Justice Fields, man, I think that hurt their growth and development.
Yeah. And of course, you got to mention what happened with the LA Chargers as well and how that panned out for them with them sitting him down, Mr. Herbert, for the first few games before he came.
Yeah, but, man.
All that being said, I think what it really boils down to, Hugh, is it's not a lot of people that feel like their organization is in dire need of a quarterback. Remember, here with the Lions, I say we definitely need a backup. We definitely need a good backup quarterback. But I want to see what Jared Goff does with some of these new weapons and things that we done brought. I don't think he was given a real opportunity last year when you consider what he had to work with, especially as the year went on and more people got hurt. I want to give him at least one good year with what we got to see if he's able to be that quarterback that can step up to the next level. You know what I'm saying? After all, that man did get the Rams to a Super Bowl. So you feel like he is at least somewhat capable. But of course, if it don't work out this year, we basically take a step back or we only take an incremental step up, then next year, there's definitely a better crop of quarterbacks coming out. At that point, yeah, then I would venture to go there. I mean, this is an anomaly in terms of the draft this year. It will not be like this next year. You will definitely see more quarterbacks being picked in these first 2 rounds than what we've seen so far. This is probably, I've never seen this where basically you got about 15 receivers been picked and only 1 quarterback so far. It's unheard of.
Yeah. And then, like you said, the quarterbacks are going to be definitely better, way better next year. And that was just the thing, too. It was just a really weak quarterback draft this year. And a lot of those guys, when they came out, man, they were going to definitely get a chance because a lot of the ones that people wanted wasn't out there yet. But like you said, like with the Lions, man, they're going to give him a chance, Jared Goff, and some of these other guys are going to get a chance before you would be able to see what your team have and at the same time maybe have to draft a quarterback, which is going to be a much stronger quarterback draft next season.
That being said, considering what we've seen so far, Hugh, what do you think is Baker Mayfield's future at this point?
It's funny, man. I just seen like something on my Instagram where Steve Smith was saying he thought that he was hearing rumors about him being prepared to go to get a trade and go to the Panthers, and he definitely wasn't too excited about hearing that. And I know right now Seattle and the Panthers was the main 2 teams that names came up. Right now, they will have to do something like will and deal and trade him and get him out of Cleveland right now because I don't think things will go well if he's still there before, OTAs and training camp start.
I would agree. But, yeah, overall, this draft, I'm not overly impressed at this point. I got to be honest.
Agree.
That being said, are we speaking on it further? Or are we going to wrap it on up, my friend?
We don't have to definitely speak on it any further. If we see any excitement or anything that happened more via trades or whatnot, we'll probably get into it. But other than that, I'm actually satisfied with what we had to say and the format of what we laid down tonight. And hopefully, these guys can show us a little different than what we expect of them right now, because we don't expect a whole lot from some of these players, man. Just hopefully they can prove us wrong in the next season or so.
Right on. With that being said, you notice this week we didn't talk about USFL. You know why? Because ain't hardly nobody else talking about USFL. They
Ain't
don't
nothing
like
to-
it. They don't like it. We ain't talk much about hockey because we never talk much about hockey. But we do recognize the Stanley Cup playoffs is coming up, and I'm hoping that that turns out good. They're definitely doing a good job of promoting that. I would like to see some of that same promotion go into the WNBA. You know how I feel about that. But fear not, anything else that we may not have brought up or may not have come up tonight, I may very well talk about on my show. Yes, there's a new show coming to the Nighthawk Network. The show is called Big Buck Sports Report. It will go on Sundays at 9:30 p.m. Please tune in. It's going to be a little different pace, a little different feel than what we do here at Game Time Audible. We're going to talk about some regular stuff that we talk here, but we also going to kind of go outside the lines, talk about some in-depth type things. It's going to be a little different. You'll see. Just come check it out and let me know what you think about it. In the meanwhile, of course, my show, Get Off My Lawn Live, will be back this Tuesday. We'll talk about some things. And the Nighthawk Network is basically back up and running and doing what we do. Thank you to all the people that are part of the network. We appreciate you. We love you. We thank you for tuning in. We appreciate all your efforts and all those good things. That being said, I'm gonna let my partner go because him look a little tired and I look a little tired, and we got some.
Yeah, I just seen something too, man. Joel Embiid is out indefinitely. So proud of you listeners. Not looking too good for them boys, man, playing Miami.
My guess is that that thumb issue that Joel Embiid has had has gotten worse in these last couple games, and he's out
And an
indefinitely.
orbital fracture. Yeah, he got an orbital fracture and a concussion.
Oh well, that's a whole nother story. If that's the case, then
Actually,
we basically got him coming back, and of course that orbital fracture usually means that we got some goggles and stuff coming into play. You know, most people don't usually do too well with the whole goggle situation,
I might
so
not look good, Philly.
that ain't looking good at all. And of course, we got James Harden who ain't been quite up to snuff, and you know we didn't get into all that, but hey, you see what it is. So that being said, people, we'll talk about that next week, along with all the other sports that we talk about here on Game Time Audible, which you will probably find at our regular day on Wednesday. And we look forward to talking to you then. Any final words before we head on out there, Hugh?
Y'all already know what's up, man. Hit me up on the Period to the Game when y'all get a chance, man. Most of the draft news or whatever's going on via trades or anything that's going on in the NFL, NBA, MLB, I definitely be on it. So, man, besides doing the podcast, man, I'm on that Period to the Game 24/7, man. So if you have an opinion or want to talk about something, let me know. And at the same time, man, I'm gonna try to keep bringing the fresh news to you as soon as possible. Like a lot of people didn't know about what was going on with Marquise Brown and AJ Brown until I actually put it out there. I had it on my page first, but I felt like, yeah, let me share it on Facebook because a lot of people may not have been educated on it. And every now and then, if it's something that important that needs to be addressed, if I put it on my page too, I might just sprinkle some of it or give you a little bit of that information on Facebook as well. So check me out. And thanks for the people who already support the page.
And that being said, he said what he said, I said what I said, and we'll catch y'all next time. We up out of here. Throw the fingers up.
Peace.
You know what to do. Gametime Audible is a Nighthawk Network presentation.